2 years ago, my family and I had the privilege of living in Italy. We lived in Bologna, and the road we lived on was called the Via Emilia. It was laid by the Romans in 187 BC, more than 2,000 years ago. And this road, this exact road on which we lived for a whole year, is still a main transport corridor to this day. So 2,000 years later, the road is still present, but the forms that are using that road are different. And so, the Italians, they don't really, they're very tied to their traditions. They're not exactly the most nimble of cultures in changing their overall ways of doing things. But what is interesting is that this past summer, when I had the opportunity to revisit Bologna, they're tearing up the parts of the Via Emilia in downtown, in the center. And the further down they go, you can see where the old Roman chariots were, the rutted rocks, which is really interesting. But they're repaving it. But they're not only repaving it, but they're bringing in additional sidewalk material width on approximately 1 meter on each side. So they're changing the nature of how the roadway space is used by increasing the sidewalk width. Now, this says nothing about cycling, but the fact that they're changing a major roadway that has been, evolving for the past 2,000 years suggests a element where roads are capable of being changed. Okay, and it's going to be interesting to think about the role that the bicycling can play in this. And I think this is where cycling studies and cycling research can really play a stronger role, because you have, it's well known that in order to better assess people's preferences and user preferences, we have two ways, right? We have stated preference and we have revealed preference. And most economists, they prefer the revealed preference because it actually talks about choices that people actually made. But the problem with revealed preference studies is that the choices were oftentimes not made available or were not aware to the individual. And so we can't compare those different choices. We just know something about the particular choice that they did make. As opposed to stated preference, which has some additional advantages, provided it's done right with the correct alternatives. And the whole science of stated preference research with respect to cycling has evolved rapidly, and this is where the cycling research is really on the cusp of something new and innovative and different, because of the advances that technology is providing to better support these two different streams of research. So you have GPS technology and whatnot that is allowing highly sensitive information about what types of routes people are using, being able to be tracked through smartphones and apps and whatnot, so we can see that they deviated this way and they deviated this way to avoid this particular feature of the built environment. And so that's really, really cutting edge information that is provided that's analyzed in a systematic way, really helps to shed new light on some real-time decision making. But then the stated preference, with the form of simulators and whatnot, is a key advancement. And so what we're doing with the stated preference research is we're basically closing the gap between what people say that they would like and what people are actually doing. And so this, through the research of the cycling simulator and other elements, everything that can be done to close that gap and make it more realistic for the users is a huge advancement.